As Matthias said, my name is Filip Marťák, and I'm coming from Slovakia, which is very close to Hungary as well. So we are practically neighbors, and I'm taking care of CEREC and the digital impression equipment in DentsplySirona for all the regions that you can see here. So currently there is a new guy as well in the DentsplySirona team of Ondrej Topinka, who is like a commercial leader for the region of Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. And in future times, you will probably even see him, and he will make a visit to you. Probably, if agreed, of course, he can answer afterwards some of your questions as well. But of course, I'm a bit more informed. So whenever you have a question in regards of CEREC or Primescan, Omnicam, or all other CAD/CAM equipment in DentsplySirona, just please let me know or let know Matthias, and we will take care of it. So today I will speak mainly about digital impression and the treatment options which are following up after the digital impression. So we will speak about CEREC, we will speak about Primescan, we will speak about the technology, what is behind it, what is offering. I have divided the agenda for today to four fields in which we will take care of all the topics that are necessary to understand here. So first one will be the future of digital dentistry. So without any further overdue, I would like to jump you in this topic and talk a bit more about the future in digital dentistry. What is the future of digital dentistry? That is a good question, and in my eyes, the answer is very simple, because the future is the digitalization of dentistry. What does it mean, basically? There are plenty of ways how the dental office can work. You can work with a laboratory in a conventional method. This is the old way of old and, of course, very practical way of working within your lab technician. So you take the impressions, send them to the lab, and afterwards, in a couple of days, sometimes a week, if they are like fully loaded with cases, they will send the case back to you originally. So in the end, the digital dentistry opens a world of possibility, because nowadays there are plenty of laboratories outside which are working within the digital dentistry, and they can offer to process your digital data. So what you can do basically is to make a scan with Primescan. I will just make a laser pointer so you could see it much better now. You can make a scan with Primescan, for example, or any other scanner what you have at your office, and afterwards you can just go and just use it for a simple patient monitoring tool. It's a great way how to check your preparations, how you can develop yourself in the daily work, how to make your restorations fit much better with a lower cases of adjustment, especially in the occlusion. Then, of course, it's a better way of communicating with your lab. And if you are feeling confident and you want to work on your own, of course, there is a way of upgrading to the whole system, and you can do those simple cases like crowns, inlays, onlays, veneers, small bridges. You can do it yourself in-house if you want, in a very fast, simple way. So what do we do next? Of course, we can handle with this way also the implantology, restorations, as I said, and even with the help of the softwares as a powerful tools what you can use, also the ortho analysis. So there are plenty of orthodontists out there, and of course they need to make some analysis. Usually it's being done the way that they take impression, they send it to the lab as a negative, they will create a cast out of that and send it back to the dentist, to the orthodontist. He is afterwards taking the marks with his pencil, take the ruler, and measure the positions in the mouth. This is basic analysis, what they are doing to see if they have enough space in the mouth. But we can do all this digitally. We don't need to use this type of complicated, time-consuming ways of doing it. You can also simulate the treatment itself for the better patient communication. And this is also increasing tremendously the acceptance of the treatment afterwards from the patient side. So what I have done at the moment, I did plenty of speaking about the digital dentistry, about the scanners, about digitization of your office, and what exactly it can offer to you. In terms of patient monitoring, you can imagine yourself how many patients you have with which are a bit older and they don't really brush their teeth properly, and afterwards there is a lot of bacteria in the cervical region which is causing the gum disease, and the soft tissue is going down. And this is what you can prevent for this patient and prevent also the tooth loss, because there is a software as well which can compare to scans. So if you have a patient on 1st of January 2020 and you have them coming back in half a year, you can compare those two scans and see how the situation in the mouth has developed. If the teeth has like had some movements or the soft tissue went down, and this can help you understand what is the mouth condition of the patient as well. And moreover, you can explain it, of course, to your patient. And this is something which is increasing the value of your dental office as well. So if I would go to the topic of ways of working in the dental office, there are plenty of ways, as I said, and every single person who is working in a dental office has some different preferences. That's why we had to adjust a bit the way of what we offer to the customers of DentsplySirona, or even just normal people out there. And what we need to remember that if we want to go to the digital world, everything is starting with a scan. No matter if you will make a scan with Primescan or OmniCam, it always starts there. Once you have this type of digital data, you can take them to the Connect software, for example, and export them as STLs. This is a functionality which is there, it's for free, and you can share it afterwards wherever you want, as this picture is saying. The second way, which is more preferable because it's a bit more seamless and more attractive for the labs as well, is to use the Connect Case Center. This is something like a portal, which is again free of charge for the dentist, and it's free of charge also for the lab. And they can send the data there and send afterwards the whole complete case to the laboratory with a description, if it's a restorative job, if it's an implant or a splint or some kind of night guard and these kind of things. The lab afterwards can receive the case from the in-lab software. This is a built-in feature which is enabling the connection to the Connect Case Center, or for any type of third-party lab, if there is a lab which is using a different like software, except in-lab, there are plenty of them out there. Most of the labs are using ExoCAD. So if they do work like this, they can get the Connect Case Center and they can afterwards process the data in any type of lab software, what they use and what they prefer. This is a great way how to communicate with your lab. So this is covering actually something for people who are interested only in digital impression. So you want a scanner and you want to send the cases to the lab. If you are a bit like more interested in more complex cases, there are also some services that are offered there from the like clinic to partner side, and that is Simplant or Atlantis, and they can build up customized abutments or drill guides and stuff like that for implantology. Moreover, afterwards, once this is done on the laboratory side, the case has to go back because it all ends up with the patient. It all starts with the patient and it all usually ends up with the patient. So the case is going back to the practice, and once the dentist will receive it, he can call the patient and invite him for a second session to see it. If there is somebody of you who would be interested on treating those cases, mainly restorative or even implantology cases, in the same session, there is a great way how to do it with DentsplySirona, and that's with, again, you begin with the scan. There is a designing software from DentsplySirona, and you have the option afterwards to mill it with MCXL, with Prime Mill, process the material in Speedfire, and then seed the case in a complete hour, for example. If we talk about chairside applications, we can do all the materials that are out there, starting at the feldspathic ceramic up to zirconia materials. The next thing what I would like to speak about are the benefits of digital impression. Those benefits which are out there, yeah, we can imagine, like, what if we have a very high speed of our workflow? That's possible, but you need to be digital, of course. We offer that with Primescan, which is based on also the study which came out from the University of Zurich in 2019. We are proven as one of the best in scanning out there. It's a combination of unique ways how we perform the scan. So there is a blue light, which is taking care of like reflecting the dental tissue. And then we are taking back this type of information. There is a lot of pre-processing inside the camera. And then we got those pictures with a high quality and high 3D points density in our CEREC software or a Connect software. This is the main reason why we can offer an outstanding ways of processing or performing the digital scan. Things like this, you know, many people out there, once we were at IDS, came and said, look, you know, this camera it's big, it's a bit heavier, but you know, that's the, if we compare it to Omnicam, for example, well, that's true, but on the other hand, Primescan is also having a bigger field of view, so the scan can be performed much faster. You're not spending that much time with the digital impression in the end, and you get a higher quality result, suitable also if I would mention a case which is representing all the others. There was a dentist, also a beta tester of the device. He is from Spain. His name is Carlos Repulio, and he made a case with an implants and bridge for full arch, all on 4, and he made it a screw retained one, and it fit perfectly. So this was done with him and with the cooperation of the lab. And you know, if you want to make a big job like this and you want to make it a full bridge, it is possible, but you need to have an outstanding precision there. You need to be accurate as much as possible. Because if there is a small deviation at one end, on the other hand, you have it like doubled or tripled. That means the final restoration doesn't need to fit afterwards. But this is not happening with us. So this is a case which is representing the others. As I said, there is an outstanding accuracy within the Primescan, and we can give you a hint on how accurate it is based on plenty of studies out there. It doesn't need to be the one that I mentioned, but in all of them, those studies are saying that we are one of the first three out of all the scanners in the market. The last point I would say is the ease of use, because this is one of the things which are making a huge difference. Because if you have a device and you have to spend plenty and plenty of time with teaching yourself how to perform the scan, and it's crashing or it's having some malfunctions, this is not an easy way how to work. And you just take your normal conventional A-class silicon and make an impression with it and send it to lab because it's easier. But this is not the case with the technology here, because you don't need to have any type of scanning protocol. We are to secure the precision and accuracy. We are doing it. You can do it as you wish, as you want. You can find yourself a way how to do it. We can only give you some recommendations. So in the end, you have a peace of mind in terms of hygiene, connectivity, service, and support. This is also important because digital technologies like this, they often require some kind of attention also from people who can teach you how to work with it. And this is something what we can offer. And most of the guys out there, they sometimes a bit struggle with this. So we have, on one side, we have specialists, we have dentists that we work with, and there is plenty of material available on how to work with CEREC. Let me share quick tips and tricks on how to perform a scan under 1 minute with Primescan. This is a very crucial point out in the technology itself, because usually we start in the occlusion of one of the molars, and as we have a bigger size of the window for the Primescan, immediately once you start scanning, you catch like 2.5 teeth because of this big field of view. So you turn the camera in like in the angle of like approximately like 60 degrees here, and you are capturing the lingual part of the area in the mouth together with a bit of the occlusion. So the first swipe is like this, which takes a couple of seconds. Then you follow up with the occlusion scan. And by this, I mean you are scanning the occlusion and again, a bit of this buccal region here. Once you perform it here to the end, you are finishing with a buccal scan. With this technique, with this recommendation, you can find yourself in a position that you have scanned the full denture with very little amount of gaps or imperfections in the scan. Of course, you can go back there and just rescan if you want, but it whole takes up to 30 seconds, 1 minute maximum. Of course, we have to take care of the region of the mouth inside, because we need to scan something what is preferably dry, so no saliva there, because the scanner will pick it up if there is a lot of water in the mouth. We have to use the suction, or there are plenty of ways how to do it. And since Primescan is so fast, the patient is really not producing that much amount of saliva in this short period of time once you can achieve the scan, and this is a very huge benefit. For the upper jaw, the protocol is the same, and we have a big advantage of none or very little amount of saliva there, so the scan it's super fast afterwards. I was just prior the session I was explaining, and we had a chat with Matthias about the plenty of ways how can those digital technologies can be used, because there are plenty of webinars out there, and this is also something what the digital world is bringing to us, the ways of developing ourselves. That means once you step in to the digital dentistry, it's a never-ending story, and you will seek for information. You will seek on how to do this, how to do that, how to approach the Bruxer patients, which are having a very reduced occlusion, how to make it happen with the CAD cam. Am I able to do it? Will it be functional? And all those questions which are out there can be answered. And it's a never-ending learning process, a never-ending development process as well. So this is all what you can achieve with digital dentistry. I'm not saying with Primescan or whatsoever. Depends, but we are offering a nice way and nice community of people where you can find the information as well. The next point would be the endodontic application. So whenever you have an endodontic patient, of course, there are ways how to use Primescan or CEREC system as a whole piece, and how to do that. So I took some sample pictures from our dentist with the agreement of the patient, and usually, you know, this is just an example, and usually in our region here in Slovakia, in the Eastern Europe, we don't have really people who are taking care that much of their teeth, and afterwards it's ending up usually with a root canal treatment. As they are usually devastated a lot, we can, you know, ask whoever endodontic oriented dentist, as they are devastated a lot, they are very fragile, and plenty of cases, even though there is a buildup from composite. I was a perfect example as well. I had a treatment like this, and my dentist did composite buildup. So I had my tooth basically, but it was dead and it was very fragile. And once I was eating a piece of bread and I was chewing and chewing and chewing, and then it was a crack, like just boom, and I lost the half of the tooth. Fortunately, it didn't go down way to the root, so we were able to manage it. But she said to me, "Look, if you don't want this happen again, we have to put a crown there." She made a huge reduction of the tooth, you know, for the PFM, and now I have a PFM inside my mouth. But we can do it a bit different way. There are plenty of materials out there, and we can help the patients in a bit more convenient way with not such drastic reduction of the teeth. Nowadays, it's called the minimum invasive dentistry, which is having a word about itself that prep or make the preparation as much as possible, and as much as necessary and as much as possible. That means not to reduce too much, but still keeping enough of this original structure of the tooth. And afterwards, with the help of the materials, which are, for example, zirconia, or you can have feldspathic ceramic, you can have lithium disilicate, and many type of hybrid materials, which are combining the aesthetics and strength, you can have an aesthetic result. So here is an example where there was an endodontic treatment performed. Of course, the dentist built up the tooth with composite afterwards a bit to make the structure appear a bit. And then he prepared it for a crown. And he placed a zirconia crown there, which is like completely, you cannot even recognize it from the other teeth there. And this is the power of CAD/CAM technologies. You can use it in your dental practice and finish it everything in one step or in one single patient visit. Of course, it depends on the conditions. If there is any kind of sensitivity, post-operative sensitivity or stuff like that, you have to wait a bit until the patient will get better. But since there is a post-operative sensitivity after endodontic treatment, no worries. You can use just a temporary crown on temporary cement, but you can do it yourself. You are saving a lot of money. You are able to do it in one session, and you can assure yourself that it will always fit. That this is something you can ask yourself how many times you have to reduce the occlusion once you receive a case from a lab. This is the advantage. You have everything under your control, and this is the way what you can do. This is a second example. So we can see an endodontic treatment here. Then there was a build-up, of course, and in the end, There was a scan, and you see some Teflon here, complete isolation because it was adhesively cemented here on the picture number C, or the picture with the C. So the dentist made a scan and left a bit of a hole there, but the software picked it up, of course, and it proposed something which is really unique for the patient and fits even inside the hole here. Afterwards, when the dentist was making the bonding itself, he bonded it adhesively with this kind of, let's call it index, and he placed it there, and it fit perfectly, because you can even play with the spacing. If you don't trust yourself and you don't know if your preparation is good enough, you can even increase the parameters for spacing inside the software. So it will basically, the cementation itself, it will compensate your imperfections with the preparation. Of course, the whole thing, once you start to see it in the software, you will see that the preparations are magnified a lot, and you can zoom in. There are analyzing tools, as I mentioned before, and they are just, telling you where are imperfections, because usually once you don't use loops with at least magnification of 3 times, or you don't use the microscope, you don't see usually those imperfections. Then there is other question, what type of tools you use for the preparation itself. So there are plenty of questions, and in order to develop yourself and develop the preparation itself, because that's the really the core of the whole treatment, this is something really important. What you need for that is the feedback. It's just a simple machine. It's not trying to give some blame or just tell somebody that it's wrong or good. It just provides feedback. There are analyzing tools like surface analysis. You can check even the margin itself, if there are any gaps or sharp areas, something like this. Very valuable information. So let's introduce to us the power of the technology which stands behind this type of treatments, which I showed to you. So first, of course, is the Primescan itself. So it usually comes in a cart version, so you have it on wheels. You can share it in between the practices if you have it on the same floor, for example. There is a camera with a camera holder here. Primescan is there. It has integrated heater. So once you start up the camera or start up the acquisition unit, you can use the camera immediately. You don't need to wait for heating it up or something like that. The whole unit, as it is, it's a medical device, so it can go very close to patients and so on. There are some regulations from European Union and also from US, which are saying, if the unit is not certified medical device, you shouldn't be going closer than 1.5 meters to your patient. And this is very crucial, because we know that this device is safe. Next thing, which is now even like more important than any time before, is the hygiene. Hygiene is a topic because of COVID, because of cross contaminations. You have a lot of patients, you're treating them. You want to be safe, of course. That is the reason why we changed the way how the acquisition unit is looking like. We have very limited amount of gaps where it was always difficult to make some disinfection or sanitation of the unit after the patient visit. So we have a touch screen here, touchpad. You are working with a touchpad here. There are 2 buttons and there is a touchpad, and of course a large touch screen here, which is having 21-inch in diameter, and you see everything there. How you can operate? Very easy. It has anti-reflection upgrade, and you can work with your gloves on that. You can use the gestures like zoom in, zoom out, like you are using your iPhone, iPad, and many other devices nowadays, or use just 2 fingers, as Matthias was mentioning now. Good. in order to make the disinfection even more convenient. So imagine you have a patient, and once he or she will left, you can ask your assistant to make the disinfection protocol. So she will take the disinfection, wipe away the screen, wipe away the handle here, the cradle, the camera itself. But what afterwards? She has to touch the unit, right? To bring it back to you or something. Well, this is not really necessary. She doesn't need to touch anything, because once you want to unlock the screen again and work with the unit, you can only press the pedal down here. So it's perfectly safe and prepared for you to work. You cannot say this about a laptop or any other solution like this. Okay, let's skip to another unit, which is Primel or manufacturing unit and the Spitfire. So we had a big announcement lately with the Primel. This unit is there for supporting the dentist with zirconia operation. We can mill zirconia in tremendous fast times. There is a touchscreen here, and the whole process can last about like 5 minutes, the milling. Of course, it depends on the size of the block, but we are using a bit of a different technology and different approach, because there are 4 instruments here, and if you have the milling instruments here, they are working both at the same time. That means they are spending much more time on the restoration, both of them, and the result is that we are able to provide a faster milling process, and even the quality is tremendously higher afterwards. So if you compare a zirconia crown from MCXL and Primel, from NCXL, you could see the layers, how the burr was turning around the restoration itself, but in Primel, you are not able to see it anymore. There are plenty of ways how the Primel can work. You can even check the status if it's connected to your internal network. You can check it on your phone. What is the progress if you go somewhere else within the office? Once the whole process is done, the whole information is transferred to the Spitfire. And this is another very important element of a chairside dentistry, because you don't want to spend that much time to take the crown, put it to the furnace, select the right program, what to use, and so on. All the information about the material which was processed here in the milling unit is immediately after the milling is finished, is transferred to Spitfire. This will result in a button here which you can just select, and the Spitfire itself will take the material up. And no matter if you have a material which you want only to glaze, or you want to sinter the zirconia, or you want to make the crystallization of Emax, the unit can do it all. So it's like an all-in-one machine. The only thing what it's not capable of doing is veneering of ceramics there, because it doesn't have a vacuum inside. But this is not a chairside application, right? This is something what takes time, and usually only a lab technician is making it. So this is the like normal, usual family of CEREC, which is enabling the jobs within your dental office. As I said, like everything, you can just count yourself how many teeth you are building up and how much time does it take for you. It's a very small region in the mouth, and you have to place composite there and just play with that. And usually it's not really convenient, and those things should be done as a crown or a partial crown. We don't need to consider the restorations like this, like crowns anymore, because it's just a missing part of the tooth, and depends what is the size of the missing part. The last piece of equipment here as an optional device is the hub. And for the practices which are a bit more complicated, advanced, and they want to follow certain way of procedure, this small box can allow you to share the patient data in between the softwares from DentsplySirona. So we can make a bridge into your patient management software. And whenever you create a patient there, it will transfer the information to CEREC, to the in-lab unit, for example, or in-lab software, and of course also to Sidexis, which is our imaging software. So this is like very last piece of equipment. I have to say we didn't push it that much because it's the biggest benefit is if you are setting up the completely new practice and you are getting the imaging solution, CAD/CAM solution, and you have a complete picture on how it should work. This is a very huge benefit afterwards. Let's talk about the like what the question, like what do we get out of this digital dentistry, and if we use the CEREC or an in-house production, what do we get from that? Let's focus on the time efficiency first. What is behind? Of course, if you want to make an impression, first of all, it takes a bit of a time because you have to make the mix. It has to sit. Afterwards, you have to send patient away with a temporary solution or just cover the whole situation somehow and send it to the lab. When you take a scan, you can take the scan immediately after you have finished your preparation, and you can decide if you want to make it in-house, if you have the whole solution, or just share it with your lab. So it's completely up to you. Then enjoyable working time. This is something what I would like to explain because probably it seems a bit of like a sci-fi for some time, but most of the people who work in this way, for example, with the whole chairside solution, they're enjoying their time in the dental office much more. I was trying to find out why is this phenomena happening so often with them. And most of them, after a couple of minutes of thinking, they said, you know, probably it's because I'm not spending that much time inside patient's mouth. And I said, like, wow, how? Tell me more. And they were like, look, I need to make a preparation, a quality one. I reserve like half an hour of time, and then I'm finished. I sit back and of course, make a scan, sit back, and then I only do the design, and everything afterwards is without the patient interfering, you know, like patient can sit there. He can even enjoy watching you, how you are preparing his crown, and then it will just end up with the whole process. You can even place the block inside the milling machine and let him enjoy it. Like he's producing his own restoration afterwards. In the end, this is resulting in a better patient communication. And because, you know, if we talk about CEREC, of course, plenty of people are saying, look, it's usually if I see some other dentist and the way how they approach the customers, and the prices, which are usually like 300, 350 euros per restoration per unit, basically, I'm not really sure if my patients will be able to pay it. Well, we have dentists which are in really, really remote areas. And of course, it depends, but you always can set the whole procedure and the whole pricing level at something what suits your patients. And we have a dentist who was afraid of it. And we asked him a simple question like, how much do you charge the patient with the PFM crown? Well, like 150 euros, 200 euros, depends. If it's a full ceramic restoration, of course, it can be like 250 approximately, or 200 euros. So look, if you make it yourself, the costs, not including, of course, the amortization of the unit, but the costs for you to create such a unit, it's only 30 euros approximately, because the block is the most expensive part of this, costs around 20, 25 euros. per block. And then you have some liquid for grinding or for milling, and some glazing maybe, and the electricity that you need to power up the system. So if you compare it, the time that you have to spend on that and the way how you work now and sending cases to the lab, it's a bit a different story, because you have to pay for the job of the lab. Of course, some of the lab technicians are layering the ceramics. They are like really high aesthetic jobs. This is a high-end stuff which no other machine can perform. It can only get very close to it, but you will never get the same result. So we can ask ourselves afterwards, like, what is the interesting point afterwards here? So it's definitely the time efficiency. And when you incorporate your patient in the whole process, he will be much keen to invest for that, because it's in certain way, it's fun for him to watch you, how you perform. And also, what is he getting? He sees it. He sees finally what's happening. When I was younger and I went to a dentist, I didn't have a clue what's happening. I just felt a lot of pain in the chair. And in the end, I had to even pay money for that. And I didn't like it. But, you know, when I saw patients come into office, got treated like this in 1 or 2 hours, they went away, they pay for the treatment, and they came again. I said, like, this is a bit of a different story, but it is as it is. And there are countless of efficiencies and studies and even like in-person examples out there. If you are still afraid of that, you know, I'm here. I can connect through the internet, or just make a phone call with you together with Matthias. It's not that big of a deal to set up the right type of workflow in case to secure the efficiency and the income itself. So we are aiming to another point, and that's the higher income. So I explained why those patients are willing to pay for that. If you imagine, like, how many patients do you have at the moment in your practice? 1,000, 2,000 people? I'm pretty sure that most of the dental offices are pretty loaded every day. And that's something which we can see everywhere in our region here, in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, in Hungary, everywhere. We can see it. This is making a lot of pressure on dentists, because even my dentist in back home in Liptovský Mikuláš, in the city in between Tatras, there is a dentist, and she is working every single day since 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. And every single time I came there are people waiting for the treatment, and there are a couple of them actually. She makes an appointment for you, but you are still not getting the appointment on time. And I was asking, like, please, can we make it on time? Because, you know, I'm in a rush. I need to go back to the place of my work. And she said to me, you know, it really depends. I'm really sorry, but there were a lot of painful patients in the morning. And this is prolonging the whole procedure afterwards for every single piece of, or every single person who is visiting the dentist. What I'm pointing at is that we can set it up. I know another example here in Bratislava, and this dentist, he's working with CEREC. And he said to me, you know, if I have a painful patient, I can send him, or I can accept him after working hours if he's like, he cannot stand the pain and he is insisting on coming, or I can just schedule him to a different day, to an exact time. And this is the way how I protect myself and protect also the workflow that I make, because I have the exact timing for each patient, no matter what type of procedure I do. If it's only composite, or it's endodontic treatment, or if it's a CEREC crown afterwards, this all needs time. And it's only the way of how do I make a setup. Then, of course, if we move a bit further, there is a chance of developing yourself, because there are plenty of ways of what you can do. You can, it's totally up to you what you will do with this type of technology. You can do like full mouth rehabilitations after some time, because you need to learn how to get there. You can also communicate with the people who have also this type of technology at congresses. And there are countless of webinars, there are countless of workshops of how to process the materials, how to help the patients to get a better smile. And you can all learn this and offer it to your patients. You can differentiate from the others as well, and raise your bar again. Make yourself, you know, develop, and you will enjoy the whole way. And the last point, of course, is keeping up with the technology, because now it's a time when even the computers, you buy a computer now, and in half a year it's an old stuff, old crap. You you cannot even, for some applications, you cannot even use it anymore. But with this, of course, you can keep up much longer. Well, I was considering if to add this picture, but Matthias completely persuaded me. So why is this golden Mercedes there? It's an icing on the cake. You see him smiling already. So yeah, what does it bring to us? Even if we have such a car, I would like to have it. I would love to. Trust me. Unfortunately, I'm not a rich guy. My parents are not having some kind of business, so I will probably have to wait until I will get retired. Or I will enter politics maybe. So what do we get out of it? It's a pleasure of ride, of course. You know, the smell when you enter a new car, when you press the pedal and you just go crazy speed on the highway, and every single person is looking at you because you have a very nice car. But what we don't see is the cost. And again, cost. What you get out of it in the end is a cost. Why do I speak about it? You know, if we compare the pricing level, it's usually more or less the same. If you go for the chairside dentistry equipment, so Primescan, Primal, Speedfire, for example, this combination, it's probably more or less the same cost like this. But with that setup, you get the pleasure of the ride, and it will bring you some value. It will bring you some money. So it's earning the money for you afterwards. And after some time, you can get even this this Mercedes car in a golden color. You know, I didn't trust this before, but I have again an example here in Bratislava with one dentist, and he was, most of the time he was making the crowns and restorative treatments like this throughout the whole pandemic situation, and the time that the pandemic was very actual, in the summer especially. And now he is riding in a Ford Mustang, in a completely new car. And I was like, where did you get money for it? You're moving yourself to a bigger office, and now you are getting a new car. And he said, you know, I'm working with those restorations. So okay, you don't need to explain anything else. So the last thing to remember, I'm sorry, it's a bit more dark here in the room, but last thing to remember here is that everything starts with a scan. No matter what you do, everything starts with a scan. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, for your time. And now, Matthias told me that we have also a lab technician here who can also help us to understand a bit more the situation behind the CAD/CAM technologies. So please go ahead. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thanks a lot.
Jó, köszönjük szépen Filipnek a kis prezentációját. So, Philip, thank you. I'm trying to switch to Hungarian between English. So Well, I would like to ask from the attendees, from the members, if they do have already a technical question regarding Primescan or Omnicam in the daily usage. Just go ahead, try to ask Philip or ask Tibor Morán, who's attending today. He's a very kind guy, and we are working together already for a long time. Tehát bárkinek kérdése van ugye Primescan-nel vagy Omnicam-mel kapcsolatban, legyetek kedvesek feltenni, akár magyarul, akár angolul, megpróbálunk rá válaszolni. Itt van velünk Morán Tibi is, soproni fogtechnikus, egyben CAD/CAM asszisztens úr, vagy mindegy, aki tapasztalatból tudom, hogy nagyon-nagyon sok gyakorlati tapasztalatra tud megoldást és választ. Jó, szeretnének erre megkérni. Ha esetleg inkább a chatbe írnátok, azt is lehet, azt is figyeljük, és hát akkor várnánk a kérdéseket, észrevételeket is, és hogyha esetleg nagy csönd lenne, akkor Tibi, megkérlek téged, hogy egy-két dolgot esetleg vezess elő, hogyha van valami a fejedbe ezzel kapcsolatban.
I would like to ask something, if I may. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very informative. My question would be that I read recently that there are some cases where intraoral scanning is not particularly effective, mainly in Kennedy's three places. For example, when the molars on the two sides are missing, and you want to create a denture, a partial denture, and they wrote in a recent article that these impressions taken with the intraoral scanner are not that exact, not that great, especially at the parts of the mucosa. Could you please confirm this or give any hints about these cases?
Yes, for sure. Tibor, if you don't mind, I will start with the answer. Of course, it depends. You know, if somebody will tell us that, you know, those type of impressions are not sufficient enough, it's a very serious statement. And as we had cases, just for example, we had cases where there were completely edentulous patients, and we took the impression with Primescan, make a denture for them, and it was fitting perfectly. As I mentioned as well, there is also a study from Carlos Repullo. He's from Spain, and he managed to make this screw-retained bridge on 4 implants at the same time. And if you make a screw-retained implant bridge like this, I'm pretty sure that Tibor will confirm as well that you need to have a tremendous precision in order to fit it afterwards, because if you have a small deviation there, you will not be able to fit it on those tie bases or on the titanium bases there and make it work. So this is something really important. And back to your question, I would really like to know more about it, because in my eyes, it's not really something which is true, because there are plenty of scanners out there which can do it. And even for me, it's a very small region. If you have just a couple of teeth in the molar region missing, it's not that big of a deal. It's mainly depending on, of course, type of scanner you use. If you have a good scanner, then the data will be sent to the lab, and afterwards it's a bit of a different story, because the lab technician himself has to make the job. So Tibor, if you can maybe give us a more insight in this topic. Probably you also did a case like this before.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So recently I have also heard the same thing, that for that Primescan can have some errors when we make full arch scans, but in my practice I didn't see such thing. So I think I can scan the mucosa with a Primescan perfectly. I can even scan the mucosa with the OmniCam, but sometimes I have to use a scan spray. But I think Primescan is very, very effective. So I don't think that I will ever notice any difficulty with it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, there is a question in the chat from Alexandra. If you can see it, Philip.
Sorry, I was muted. So the question is, do we have information loss when we export an STL file and send it to the lab, comparing using Connect Center for information sending, or the quality of the files remain the same? So this is more technical question. So I would go for the answer like this. You know, whenever you take a scan, there is a really raw data. We can imagine it like when you have a professional camera to take pictures, like really with a huge objective, and you take a picture, usually even the photographers are setting the way of saving the files in the camera on a raw format. This is not making any type of compression of the photo. And when they implement it afterwards in the post-processing software like Photoshop or something like that, they can bring out the colors and all the information is there. All the information from the chip which is inside and capturing the data. And this is the same story with Primescan and the format that you select when you use it with, for example, the Connect Case Center. You are not making any type of compression of the data, and you are sending it directly to the lab. If the lab is using an in-lab software, they will receive the data with no compression at all. They will receive it as you capture it, with the color, with all the texture, with margin, with everything. When you export an STL file, it is only the surface of the teeth, nothing else. So there is a reduction of the data, but if we have a look at the whole situation in a mathematical point of view, it has to be sufficient enough surface that you can reproduce the original surface of the teeth. So there are those points in there, and usually they are connected into small triangles. The more points you have there in this STL file, the higher the quality of the reproduction afterwards of the reality. So it really depends, but from our experience with the STLs from Primescan or from OmniCam, there were no such problems. You can also select the size of the file or type of reduction of the points that you can have there. So 100% like big file, the size of it, it's usually like 35, 50 megabytes afterwards for one STL file. So yeah, if you compare it to a file which is coming out in a native format afterwards without any reduction, it can be 500 megabytes with all the information there. So it depends. I would stick, to the fact that it depends what you use as a scanner and what type of software was making the reduction of the data. So from which software you are making an export. This is very, very, very important. And most of the time, if you have a good lab technician who knows what he's doing, he usually doesn't have any problem in reproducing it. The biggest problems are coming from the preparations itself, or from the margins which are coming from dental offices. Because if you produce or if you make a digital impression and you send it to the lab, usually in our software, you have to make the margin line. You have to mark the margin, because dental technician is not having the patient in the chair. And this is very crucial point, because afterwards you say where is the edge of the restoration, or where is the difference between the restoration itself and the tooth. And we want to reduce this area, or the gap that can be created there as much as possible. And I would like also to ask Tibor to give us some more insight in this and try to explain it, because recently I saw a study on Primel, and there were Dr. Kunkela, probably you know him. He was comparing different types of materials. He was comparing Emax, composite materials, and zirconia materials. And he took a picture with a very big magnification. And every single time there was a small gap when there was an, I'm not trying to blame nobody, you know, but when there was a hard material like Emax, for example, there was a small gap. There was a small gap, like 30 to 40 microns in between the surface of the tooth and the restoration itself. So the more plastic the material is, the more elastic, like composite materials or the hybrid materials, the better the result is, because there is a lack of chipping in the margin area afterwards. So Tibor, if you have some insight, please go ahead.
Okay, so usually we make restorations of Emax, and they are very accurate. And regarding this STL export, I often send the STL file to an external lab who make a 3D printed cast or model. And just if we are making a big anterior restoration or a 5-unit zirconia bridge, then I like it to try it on a model. And I have seen that it fits perfectly. So I don't see any gaps. The STL and the model is like the patient's mouth. So I'm not experiencing some quality loss with the STLs. And yes, so when we started with CEREC, we also tried some other materials. For example, Empress, then some materials from DentsplySirona also. It is only because of the hardness of Emax that we like it is very durable material. But nowadays, I very like the zirconia materials of Sirona, the Incoris. It is a very nice material, also good in sometimes in anterior restorations. So yeah, sometimes we also see a little gap at the margin, but this is always because of not perfect preparation. So as you mentioned, we are learning with the scanner. Because of the magnification, we see that we are not preparing the teeth properly. So we are also developing ourselves, and our preparations are getting better and better. And so the restorations fit much better also with time. So I try to send a file. I have some CEREC preparation guideline downloaded, and this was also a big help for our doctors. And since that, they are preparing the teeth much better than when we started with a CAD/CAM.
Yeah, true. So and there are plenty of guidelines. Thanks for pointing it out. Usually there are also guidelines which are coming together with the pack of the material. So if you order the blocks, there is a small sheet of paper which is describing the material, like the ways of processing it in the furnace, if you have to, what type of like sintering or staining and glazing cycle you have to use, and what is the reduction on the occlusion side, on the side of the preparation itself, or the margin area, so you exactly know how much you have to reduce in case of securing the high performance of the restoration itself.
Jó, Tibor átküldte ezt a preparációs útmutatóját.
Na igen, tehát amióta elkezdtük használni a CEREC-et, rengeteget fejlődött az orvosainknak a csiszolási technikája. Ezen nagyon-nagyon sok múlik. Nálunk az orvosok nagyon szerették ezt a minimálinvazív technikát, aminek van egy jó oldala, de néha egy picit többet el kell venni a fogból, viszont utána tökéletesen passzol majd a pótlás. Tehát néha egy picivel több foganyagot be kell áldozni, vagy csak egy kicsit finomítani kell a széleken, kicsit polírozgatni, de igazából ez idővel már rutinszerű lett, szóval nálunk is a kémenes Lórán doktor annyira tökéletesen preparál, hogy azóta nincs olyan cerekpótlásunk, ami ne ülne tökéletesen.
Tehát akkor végül is azt tudjuk megerősíteni ezzel kapcsolatban, tényleg, tehát, hogy a preparáció az legalább ugyanolyan fontos, mint maga a szkenner, mert hogyha nem tudsz rendesen szkennelni, tehát akkor nem lesz eléggé, nem lesz fontos, nem lesz megfelelő. Tehát és ez a PDF, ezt tényleg most meg is nyitottam, tök jól mutatja ezeket a dolgokat, ezt érdemes lementeni.
Jó. Bocsánat, csak még valami, hogy amióta elkezdtük használni az Omnicemet vagy a Primescanet, azóta néha sokkoló is volt eleinte, hogy megnéztük a szerintünk tökéletes csiszolást, és akkor mindig láttunk alámenős részeket, kis kiugrásokat, szóval meg kell nézni. Hát nálunk mindenki lupéval preparál, és a lupé az nem tud annyira nagyítani, mint a CEREC szoftver. Tehát itt azért sokat tanulunk abból, hogyha az orvosok utólag ellenőrzik a saját csiszolásukat.
Okay, Philip, did you understand this short session in Hungarian? Okay, so what Tibor is telling that the preparation needs to be precise and effective, and he just attached an older version of preparation manual for using Omnicam or Primescan scanners, and since they are using these guidelines, it's much more effective their work.
Yeah, I saw it, and I have to say it's pointing out the way how the machinery behind is working. So what you need to think of, when there is a burr and it's trying to create the surface of the hole or the shape of the crown, you have to think of the diameter of that and not create any type of very sharp things, because the machine will not be able to create it. So it's also stated there. So yeah, true.
Okay, please, if you have any idea or starting.
Any other questions or some points what you want to know? Matthias has a question, maybe?
Yes, but it's maybe I would like to ask Tibor. Maybe even in Hungarian, if you can compare the Omnicam and the Primescan, the accuracy of the scan. Sometimes I switch to Hungarian. Többször azt szoktam hallani, hogy jó a scan, jó, még várunk, mert nem elég pontos. Emlegetik a fesztávokat, hogy egy-egy koronára tök jó, de mondjuk egy teljes fogműre már nem elég pontos a lenyomat, amit készítesz vele. Én ezt szeretném nem megcáfoltatni vele, de hogy ezzel kapcsolatban milyen észrevételed van Omnicam és akár Primescan vonatkozásában?
Hát mi ugye az Omnicam-mel szálltunk be ebbe az egész CEREC történetbe. Én személy szerint nagyon-nagyon szeretem. Az Omnicam szuper jó, a Primescan az meg még jobb. Tehát minőségben igazából szerintem nincs olyan nagy különbség a kettő között. Az Omnicam tökéletesen szkennel, van egy-két gyenge pontja, de a Primescannel szerintem mindenki lett küszöbölve. Néhány dolog, ugye például az Omnicamnél a mélységélesség az nem olyan erős, mint a Primescannél. Tehát az Omnicamnél néha az approximális részek, tehát az ilyen mélyebb fogközök, azok például nem voltak láthatók. Vagy hogyha például van mondjuk nagyon hosszúak a fogak, valami fogágybetegség miatt, akkor a két ilyen hosszú fog között, hogyha van egy nagyon alacsony koronánk, vagy egy innéhez előkészített fogunk, akkor néha az üregnek az alját nehéz volt úgy beszkennelni, mert egyszerűen távol volt magától a szkennertől. De a Primescannél semmilyen nincsen. Tehát annyira jó a mélységélessége, és igaz, hogy valóban egy kicsit nagyobb a szkennerfej, mint az Omnicamnél, de szerintem nagyon könnyen használható így is szájba, és mivel nagyobb területet képez be, és ugye a fejben van egy kamera, ami folyamatosan mozog, ezért például egy bölcsességfog disztális oldalához nem kell bemászni teljesen a páciens szájába, hanem sokszor elég az, hogyha okkluzálisan a rágófelszín felől rámegyünk a kamerával, és a szkenner egyszerűen látja azt a disztális oldalt. Akkor ami nagy fejlődés volt még, hogy a fogatlan területeket nagyon jól leképezi a Primescan, Omnicamnél nagyon gyakran kell még használni a scan sprayt hozzá. Hát igen, hát ezek igazából, amik most úgy először eszembe jutnak. Tehát a Primescannel gyerekjáték a szkennelés, tényleg, nem tudok rá mit mondani. Omnicamnél, tehát nálunk úgy van, hogy sokszor a csiszolás előtt már az asszisztensek beszkennelik a fogakat, antagonistát, harapást, ténylegesen tehát beszkennelik azt az átcsontot is, ahová a fogpótlás készül, és ezt később a preparálás után csak kivágjuk, és azt kell hozzá szkennelni. Tehát nálunk az asszisztensek is nagyon sokszor be tudnak mindent szkennelni, hogyha van kicsit ilyen bonyolultabb eset, akkor már én is kellek hozzá. Na, amikor nálunk volt a Primescan, akkor nem szólt nekem senki, mert annyira egyszerű vele a scan, annyira könnyen visszatalál, hogyha elveszíti a képet, vagy kivesszük a szájból, és visszatesszük szájba, olyan hamar visszatalál a Primescan. Nagyon jó a szoftver, nagyon gyors, tehát semmi negatívumot nem tudok mondani. Én használtam már mást is, másfajta szkennert van, nekünk iTero szkennerünk is, én a speciál nem szeretem annyira. Ez a Primescan, ez nagyon gyors, nagyon effektív, tehát csak szuperlatívuszokban tudok róla beszélni.
Alapvetően működik. Jó. Tibor, én még egy olyan kérdést tennék. Egyszer fölhívtalak téged egy rendelőbe, amikor bevállaltam, hogy egy friss műtétes beteget segítek beszkennelni, aki implantátumokat kapott, és fölhívtalak azzal, hogy a két implantátum közötti területet nem egyszerűen elveszti félúton a dolog, de ott volt csillogó implantátum, csillogó nyál, varratok, minden, és ezt te így leképezted nekem, hogy mit is kéne tenni, hogy ezt egy 3 mondatban összefoglalnád, mert szerintem itt a jelenlévők között van ilyen, akit ez érdekelne. Tehát, hogy ilyenkor nem a kétségbeesés az út, hanem van esetleg megoldás, és nekem erre megnyugtató megoldást mondtál akkor.
Igen. Hát nagyon sok implantos pótlást csinálunk, sokszor frissen műtött pácienseknek is szkenneljük az implantátumait. Valóban mondjuk a nedvesség, vagy a sok vér azért az tud nehézséget okozni, tehát meg kell próbálni elállítani a vérzést valamennyire. Hát ugye a scan sprayt most ilyen frissebbeknél nem szívesen használunk, ilyenkor esetleg azt lehet, hogy a frissen műtött területet azt lefedjük gézzel, és akkor a fogatlan ínyt azt akkor lefújjuk sprével, ezt tud segíteni. Csillogó fémfelületek okozhatnak nehézséget. A Primescannel mondjuk én nem tapasztaltam ilyet, az Omnicam-mel inkább, de ilyenkor is a scan sprével éppen, hogy csak egy icipici, csak megnyomom, hogy csak egy kis pici ilyen scan spray réteg legyen az implantátum fejeken, de egyébként ennyi. Én néha az Omnicam-nél szeretem az ilyen nagyon, nagyon felpolírozott kerámia fogpótlásokat besprézni, gyorsabb a scan, de a Primescan ezt is mind látja scan spray nélkül is, szóval de hát gyakorlat teszi a mestert. Én erre ezt tudom mondani. Egy kevés gyakorlással igazából az ember már úgy ráérez, hogy mi az, ami nehezebb feladat lesz majd a szkennernek, mi az, ami egyszerű, és tényleg, mint ahogy Filip mondta, igazából egy álcsontnak a beszkennelése az tényleg 1 perc körülbelül.
Ha a véget ér ez a pandémiás időszak, akkor meghirdetünk egy ilyen szkennelési verseny majd, hogy ki mennyi idő alatt tud egy álcsontot beszkennelni. Ilyet szerintem annak idején valamelyik nagy fogászati kiállításon maga a DentsplySirona cég is meghirdetett egyébként. Jó, szeretném megkérdezni, hogy van-e valakinek esetleg kérdése, észrevétele, tényleg akár érdeklődőnek is, akár meglévő felhasználónak is fel tudjátok tenni, tudtok kérdezni. Teljességigénye nélkül Szőcs Andris, Alexandra, Szebró Zoli, most így itt végig görgetem a bejelentkezettek listáját esetleg. És addig, ameddig esetleg itt jön kérdés, akár szóban, akár írásban, azt beszéltem meg a Filippel, hogy január hónap folyamán lehetőség lesz egy ilyen online kis meeting keretén belül egy élő kezelést megtekinteni egy görögországi demonstrátornak a magárendelőjéből, és akit ez érdekelne, azt kérem, hogy vagy nekem jelezze, vagy a info@endobolt.hu-n, hogy fel tudjuk őt regisztrálni majd erre a dologra hasonlóan, mint a mai, jó? Tehát ez majd egy ilyen kérés, ezt majd meg fogom osztani ezt a dolgot, de hogy tudjatok róla. Philip, what I'm just telling is that we have the plan that in the middle of January or somewhere there, we are organizing a live session from Greece, from a key opinion leader of DentsplySirona CEREC systems, and I just asked all the attendees that feel free to register on that program, which is also free and open for every interested persons.
Exactly. So just to introduce it, the guy there, he is really, really good. He's working with us already several years. He was having an Omnicam, now he's having a Primescan. He's using all type of equipment from us. He's working with endo, he's making also implants, so he's a very complex guy. On top of that, he bought a couple of cameras into his chair and into his dental office, and he made a couple of videos like this before, like live treatments. So I asked him to prepare some case for CEREC, so he will show us how he work and how it can be done since the beginning till the end of seating the crown, so you could see it yourself.
Okay, we need to decide how long would be this session, but okay, there are some physical needs about this session, but we do have time to finalize this program. Okay, there is a question from Alexandra. Maybe Tibor meg tudja válaszolni. A kontaktsprét
Oké, tehát igazából a CEREC-nek van saját scan spray-je, ez a CEREC Opti Spray. Szerintem Mátyás ebben te talán tudsz segíteni.
Igen, igazából azért nem szoktuk ezt ajánlani, most egy kicsit magam ellen beszélek, mert szerintem ennek a szállítása, tehát amióta nem fókusz, tudod, hogy tehát ilyen spréket kell használni a lenyomatvételhez, gyengébb az ellátottság.
Értem, igen. Hát most csak így hirtelen rákerestem, igazából van a Vitának is, ez a Vita CAD spray-je, tehát hogy ez igazából nem szkenner specifikus ez a spray, nagyjából mindegyik egy ilyen szürkés felületet képez, szerintem bármelyiket lehet használni.
Figyelj, leszaladok gyorsan a boltba, megnézem, hogy melyik van nálunk, jó, egy fél pillanat, jó? Addig tarts szóval a közönséget.
Jó, tehát most csak szeretnék ide majd belinkelni egy ilyen, ez egy YouTube csatorna. Philip, I don't know if you know him, Dr. James Klim from the US, and he is also an expert of CEREC. I really like his videos. I have learned a lot watching his videos, and so I suggest that everybody watches some of his videos.
Yes, he was part also of a congress that we organized together with Dr. Kunkela in the beginning of December. It was called Legends, and we had a lot of dentists from all around the world. I was just telling in prior the meeting, I was telling to Matthias that I saw him, and he had a presentation there as well. And it was super, super cool because he was explaining the stuff which was not really clear for plenty of dentists. And he's working with CEREC, if I remember correctly, 38 years already.
Yes.
So, and he was making cases which were completely out of this world and explaining in a normal way, understandable way, using a silicon key and all those things like that, how to approach the vertical dimension as well, how to approach the cases which like you don't want to reduce the enamel that much, especially in the frontal region. So everything like this was stated there, and I mean, I was like, wow, I didn't even think of digital dentistry like this before. Yeah.
He's truly a legend. Yes, he's a master of CEREC.
Yeah, especially what I liked the most was how he is capable of this creative way of thinking how to approach the case, because there was a totally grinded guy in his office. And I was telling this story also to Matthias, and he was thinking of, okay, how do I take the right impression for this type of guy? Because it's very crucial. It's not that big of a deal to take an upper and lower impression afterward. But if you want to say to the lab, look, this is the height, or this is the space I want to fill with the restorations in the future, you have to make it somehow, to make the right position of the TMJs, like to be relaxed. So he made the patient open and close the mouth again, and he had some sensors here on the TMJs. I don't know the name of the device. And after he measured the correct position, the patient had slightly opened denture, like this. Yeah, so there was a gap in between that. And to fix it, he put a bit of silicone there to fix it in the position, and he took a buccal bite of a scan, and this was sent to the lab afterwards, and they sent him back the restorations. Like I don't know how actually it would be needed to be done when you have a conventional way. Probably, I don't know. Can you maybe share some way of how it could be done if you know? Because in digital it's clear to me and it makes sense, but in conventional way I have like it would be much more complicated to take such an impression or to measure it somehow. It wouldn't be so precise like when you make it digital.
Yes, yes, true. So we have that kind of cases too. We are also making this TMJ treatment, and we had a very difficult case where we wanted to make restorations for all of the patient's teeth, and we wanted to make another bite a little bit higher, and we took normal impressions and we sent it to a lab in Germany who made the VoxUp treatment plan with the new bite registration. And then I scanned the voxed up casts for biocopy, and I could merge it with the patient's prepared teeth with the scan, and I could make all the restorations with this biocopy scan. So this was also a very difficult case, but we could make it with CEREC. We were not really sure that it would go, but it was a really great success.
If I'm not mistaken, this is exactly the way how Dr. Klim was working, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I saw it there. I saw it there. Yeah, he was also asking for this, for the silicone key, and he put composite there and press it on top. Yeah, so there are plenty of ways how the work can be done, and yeah, it's about the development as we stated.
Yes. So I think that there are no limits with this new CAD/CAM technology. So every day I find something new, and I also find a solution with CEREC. So we really like the system. One thing that you mentioned, that this all-on-4 case, which some doctor made, and when I was talking about quite the same case with the CEREC support, they told me that for these cases, an intraoral scanner, also the prime mill, isn't the right choice. We should take an impression, make a cast, and scan it with the Sirona INEOS X5 scanner, and work on that digital model. So they told me that the intraoral scanner or the Primescan isn't precise enough to make a full large scan. I don't agree with that, but they told me.
Yeah, true. I will talk a bit more about that. So if you want to make such a case, of course it's possible. He made it, this dentist. But there are certain way of things what you need to follow, and especially the scanning technique itself needs to be a bit different from. Did you see the new or let's put it this way? With OmniCam we have much less precision on full arch. That means if we want to secure the highest precision possible, we need to suggest to the dentist or the user to make a guided scan. So you have a starting point and there are the ways how to scan. You have to do it like this for Invisalign cases. With OmniCam, you have to make it like this if you want to take a full jaw for any kind of splint or something like this. So why they suggested INEOS? It was because for full arch cases where you have teeth, not an edentulous patient, when you have a full arch cases and you need to be as precise as possible, there is nothing which will be as precise as when you have an A-class silicone and it's pressed at once, because the impression is taking is one piece at one time. With scanning, what you do is you are assembling the pictures together. And that was the reason why I was explaining also when you make the scan on this picture, when there were those 3 swipes, you have to make something on those as a scanning part. You have to make something which is covering. If you scan the lingual part of the denture, it needs to cover also a bit of the occlusion, because after, when you scan the occlusion, the scanner can match better those information. The deviation itself can be around 25 to 30 microns. In most of the studies, this is how it is. If you have a short bridge, which is like, can be on a couple of implants as well, that is the reason why also dental technicians usually divide it to multiple cases. If they want to make it, they are not make it in one piece. First of all, it's easier to maintain afterwards, and the second of all, they can secure the precision afterwards that it will fit. It's not impossible to make, but it's rather difficult because you have to think of plenty of things in order to achieve it. Or why they suggest an INEOS scanner? It is the most precise scanner that is out there in the market. INEOS X is a dental laboratory scanner, which is having the accuracy of like 3 to 4 microns, something like this. It's a big device, but the scanning itself is very close to the like 3D scanning in automotive business, where you have like an engines and you need to make those pistons, or how to say it, in engine, when they are going like this, it has to fit like in microns. If there is an imperfection, there is a huge problem afterwards, because it will not fit and the motor can get stuck afterwards. So this is, or what was the intention behind INEOS, was to make a most precise scanner out there. But yeah, since in dentistry usually we don't need this high precision, because there are plenty of cases which are being done on normal conventional cases. For example, you have the preparation for full ceramic materials or zirconia or something like this. You still have a cementation gap there, which is around 50 to 100, 120 microns, the cementation gap. So this is compensating a lot of mistakes, even in the preparation itself, because a dentist is not a machine. Even if you ask whoever the best dentist in the world, if there will be some, he won't be able to make two exactly the same preparations. He won't, because he's just a human, and this human factor is affecting a lot of things. And yeah, that's what I would like to point out, because we are just humans and we are maintaining the machines. And if we don't make it the correct way, it doesn't matter if it's four implants and a bridge on top, or if it's just a simple crown, supragingival, for example. If we don't make it the correct way, the preparation and everything around it, the case will not fit, and we can have the best system in the world.
Yeah, okay, thank you for the answer. So I would just link to two pages which are some comparisons. This is from 2019. The first, this is comparing the I think 6 or 7 intraoral scanners on the market. And there it is also visible that Primescan is one of the most accurate, or it is the top, the most accurate scanner, which you can find now. I don't know if you know this page, the CEREC Digest.
Yes, I know it.
Like the articles of them. Okay, there is another article just for something to read later. Yeah. Okay, so I think that that the Primescan is accurate enough for us now. So I don't think that there could be some problem with the accuracy of the Primescan. If we see some problems with the restorations, it's almost every time because of the preparation. Yeah, it can be only because of the preparation. So I have no idea what else it could be.
Just to add to this topic, sorry for stepping in. Usually it's just a matter of understanding what is necessary to secure the best possible treatment, and this is exactly, first of all, the training and the information that you get, basically. If you want, we can speak about it. I'm here. If you don't have a problem speaking in English, no problems at all to speak with me, and I will help you to understand how the technology works, because it's just a matter of expectations, what you expect from the system. It will always do the same. And what I want to say is that in the system itself, you can find those tools which are explaining or giving you feedback on how the preparation was done, because you select the certain type of material, okay? For example, zirconia, or yeah, let's make it the most simple way, the old way of full ceramic restorations, feldspathic ceramic. And the recommendations from Vita, who is the producer for plenty of years for feldspathic ceramics, you have to reduce in the cuspid areas 1.5 millimeter. In the fissure area, you need to reduce 1 millimeter, and on the sides you need to go right 0.8. This is the minimum that you have to reduce in case to secure that the restoration as a crown will fit there, and it will not crack or break or fail, basically. What the scanner and the software side it can offer you is to check the preparation. Is it smooth enough? The surface, is the margin okay? Is it having the right integrity of the margin? This is also a very important point, because then you don't have any type of leakage interference from the liquids in the mouth. Then the last point, or there are like surface analysis. You can see if the ways are there, like the surface is concave, or if there are any small, let's call it hills, because you can zoom in and you have, yeah, I call it 50 shades of gray on the preparation itself, and you can see in this grayish colors what you have to smooth a bit. You can't see it with your eyes. It's not possible, but the system is just a machine. It will analyze it, give you the feedback, and once you do this twice, 3 times, you will exactly know what you need to take care of. And that's it. I would stop here, because this is what you need to see. And yeah, there are plenty of people out there who tried it and they were not happy with the restorations, even from the lab. But in the end, it was, as Tibor said, I mean, plenty of times the reason behind it's not fitting and the occlusion has to be reduced, and you are using the occlusion paper and patient is biting to it all the time, and you see the red marks there, and then you repair it a bit and you are not happy, or you send the case totally back to the lab for readjustments. This is all something which can be avoided once you try to use digital technologies. You have the feedback, and that's a huge benefit.
Okay. Any questions so far? Kérdés, észrevétel valaki részéről? Közben belelapoztam a megoldott CEREC Digestbe, tanulságos cikkek vannak, lehet, hogy érdemes ezeket azért megnézegetni, ha valakit esetleg érdekel részletesebben. Jó. Lehet, hogy ám már itt csak magunk vagyunk, nem tudom, hogyha esetleg valami visszajelzést a résztvevőktől esetleg kapnánk, hogy milyen témát érintsünk esetleg, avagy befagyasztjuk ezt a mai kis meetingünket. Tibor, neked esetleg kérdésed, észrevételed még itt a Filiphez, hogy elengedjük őt?
Hát igazából nem tudom, most lenne néhány kérdésem, még csak nem tudom, hogy ez most ennek az előadásnak a keretén belül mehet. Mi ugye, so Philip, we are having many implant cases. We are using the tie bases of Sirona. But one topic is that Sirona doesn't have angled tie bases. And that's often a problem in the anterior region when I am making upper front crowns on implants. Then I have to make an individual abutment and then a cemented crown on it. But because of the width of the tie base and then the width of the Emacs, the crown has to be too thick there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was searching now for 2 years for an angled abutment, and I don't know if you have an idea. Now I found one company in Germany. It's called Abutments for Life. They have also a web shop, and there they have a so-called C base, which is good for CEREC. It is an 11 grade angled abutment, but I haven't tried it yet. I got it yesterday, so I don't know if you know this problem or Sirona is having this angled abutment in the future.
So this is a very complex topic, and I'm very happy for your question, and that I can speak about it a bit. So especially for we can consider the implant dentistry and the restorative dentistry after implant treatment in couple of ways. There is something which is functional, which you are able to do in a single session, and those are the tie bases, like normal tie bases, those what you use, and we are talking about the posterior region mainly. This is something very easily achievable. Even if you have a case which is a bit more complex with person who is having roots, or the implant has to go very deep, very close to the canal, to the nerve canal here. These type of cases can be done together with the imaging cooperation. So for example, SL or imaging like implant planning software from DentsplySirona, and CEREC itself, because you can produce a surgical guide and afterwards place a guided implant. That's the first thing. And then you can use the tie base with scan post or scan body and make a restoration on that. That's completely clear, I guess. But the problem, as you said, comes when you have a frontal region, because even teeth are having an angle. You have a root and there is an angle, of course. So how to do it? Because an implant goes like this, and then you need to make this angle there. So we don't have this type of tie base. Then it depends on what type of implant system do you use, and if they have an angulated abutments. You have two options here. Either you can use a company that you suggested, so somebody who is focusing on those angulated abutments, and they know that it will fit for CEREC. Or the second option is to use the Atlantis. Atlantis is a company which is offering the service like this. So you send them, they are in, if I'm not mistaken, they are in Switzerland, and you send them the 3D with your patient, and that you want to plan an implant there. Or even a plan of the implant there, and they will suggest to you how the customized abutment will look like. Benefit of that is that those angulated abutments have much better soft tissue and hard tissue integrity afterwards. So you are not, you know, when you have a normal tie base, what we have, as you have this platform, the circular platform there, it usually pushes away the bone from that, and also a bit of a soft tissue there, because it's a bit sharp and it's not smooth. But those customized abutments are always like this, and they go directly into the implant. That means you have a bit better integrity afterwards, and you can achieve with this type of angulated abutments much higher aesthetics, because you don't need to compensate the thickness afterwards, as you mentioned. So my suggestion would be to try that company. If you find it useful, okay, you can work with that. Maybe there is even a company in Hungary which is specializing on that, or you can even like use somebody else like this Atlantis. This is like an integrated workflow in all the devices from DentsplySirona, and you can even create your own account on the web and link it with Connect Case Center. So if you make a scan and you want to send it to Atlantis, you can do it from the Connect software afterwards, or from InLab. And what they need afterwards, you can just check it on the web, and they will propose, because you plan an implant and you send them the case, and they will give you the proposal of, okay, this is the way how the future restoration will look, and this will be the angle of the implant that you want to place, and they will make a 3D proposal for you, so you can afterwards understand better what should be the angle of the implant, like a prosthetic driven implantology afterwards. And in frontal region, it's a crucial topic for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Do you know how much this kind of abutment, this individual abutment from Atlantis costs?
Well, I would have to check with my colleague. She is taking care of implants in our region, so I'll have to check with her for an approximate pricing, because if I would tell you, I would definitely say something wrong. So
okay, thank you.
Jó, tehát akkor itt látjuk azt, hogy a felhasználásnak igen magas szintű területei is elérhetőek, tehát ezt tudtuk, hogy Tibor már ezekbe belekanyarodott egy ideje, úgyhogy mindenkit csak erre tudok én is sarkalni. Jó, én azt gondolnám, hogy lassan lezárhatjuk ezt a mai kis meetinget, mert úgy látom, hogy most már csak így egymás között vagyunk nagyjából ezekben a témákban. Jó, nem tudom, hogy... Okay, Philip, so close, shortly I'm going to close this session for today. That's what I'm started to tell. And now I switch back to Hungarian. Tehát akkor, ahogy említettük, akkor januárban valamikorra kitűzünk egy időpontot, amit Filippel egyeztetni fogunk erre a kis live sessionre, amit egy görögországi rendelőből fogunk majd közvetíteni. Az is egy ilyen egyszerű módon igyekszünk majd összehozni, hasonló platformon. Arra kérlek titeket, hogy akit az érdekel, az info@endobolt.hu-ra egy rövid e-mailt írjon, hogy a januári session érdekel, fölveszem őt erre a listára, és akkor tudjuk, hogy ő nehogy kimaradjon belőle majd. Jó, ez a kérésem. És akkor ezzel szeretném megköszönni a figyelmeteket mára. Remélem, hogy azért sok hasznos információt tudtatok, mind Filiptől, mind Tibortól. Én nagyon szépen köszönöm. kérdésre áll rendelkezésetekre, amire én nem tudok válaszolni, azokat a kérdéseket megpróbálom továbbítani feléjük, és mindenkinek kellemes hogy hétvégét kívánok, kellemes és biztonságos, egészséges évvégét, és áldott békés karácsonyt és boldog új évet, hogyha addig nem találkoznánk, nem látnánk egymást, jó? Én megköszönöm a figyelmet, és jó hétvégét, jó pihenést kívánok nektek.
Én is köszönöm.
Sziasztok, hello.
Thank you very much for your time. Very appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.